existed throughout nature. And we kind of made a turn as a species into this segregation. And there's been various iterations of segregation throughout history. And I think there's a remanifestation of a segregation happening right now. I wonder what the value of that is. Like, what's the intelligence behind that from your perspective? Or is it just bad?
No, I don't think it's bad. I mean, I think that it's freeing when you stop feeling the need to judge at all, right? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it evil? Is it tyrannical? These are descriptions that are a moral judgment or an ethical, philosophy that feeds into these belief systems or whatever it is. But the reality is, nature has no ethics. Nature only has simple fabric that obeys these principles of adaptation and biodiversity as the primary goal. Life needs and desires more life, and that's the generative cycle. And so when you see humans stepping in to do what we've done, we are the existential stressor on the planet that the asteroid was 55 million years ago. And so whether we think what we're doing right now is bad or not, I tend to think that it's short-sighted for sure, and I think that it's stealing the opportunity for me and my future children and grandchildren and all that to co-create with this nature. We might be taken out of the equation here, but leaving behind this human record as we put this extinction level stress on our children and on our planet, there's the potential for something much more beautiful to occur. And so what's the difference between ferns and deciduous trees and flowering meadows of wildflowers? What's the next iteration beyond that? How much more beauty is going to be manifest with the next iteration on life of the planet after this extinction event? And so can we really judge this event as bad? I think that ultimately life is going to make sure that it's good. Life is going to spin a silver cloud out of this one, and we're going to see something spectacular on the other side of this. Is that going to take tens of millions of years to recover? Maybe. Does the planet care? No, it's not on a linear timeline like we tend to think. And so ultimately we're going to have to let go of judgment on ourselves, which will be a really extraordinary moment, because the things that are keeping us locked in this disempowered state genetically that we talked about earlier is the emotions of fear and guilt. So when we write ourselves the big permission slip of, we screwed up big, and there's a huge opportunity on the other side of that we could actually be witness to life more abundant, life more diverse than it's ever happened on Earth, and we could play in that forest. And so there's something very interesting happening, that we actually have the scientific technology, the cognitive intellect to be able to witness this dichotomy of options. We could continue our destructive behavior and disappear, or we could shift and stay and play. And that we can even make that determination, it gives me all kinds of hope. It means that in some version of this future, it's going to succeed. And there's going to be at least a fraction of humanity that moves forward with a genome that is not in fear and not in guilt. And it shifts epigenetically to an organism that we haven't perhaps seen in our genetic 200,000 year history of Homo sapiens. Will we call ourselves Homo sapiens sapiens in another 200 years? Or will we make this sudden shift in these next couple of decades because we suddenly come face to face with the freedom of surrendering the most tyrannical fear and guilt ever put on the planet? Can we find our way to the other side of that, to find a freedom that's never been seen, to find a genome that would express a species that's never seen its full potential? And you can cascade down through the thoughts there.
What do you think of this is going to be a ridiculous idea that I'm sure you've probably reflected on in some way, but that humans are, we're like worker ants, and we're feeding the queen that is technology, and we're presently pouring our consciousness and our energy and our bandwidth and our time and our money and everything into that. And we have these avatars, and you're Dr. Zach Bush, MD, or whatever on Instagram, and we have like this. We pour so much into that, and it's tracking everything that we're saying, and this conversation is being recorded in various different ways outside of what we're intentionally aware of, and all of that information is being imprinted somewhere, and it's creating something else. What do you think about that?
Yes, and yes. I think it's very intriguing. So we're at this, anytime somebody expresses fear over something, the fear is probably unfounded, because it means we're again coming from this scarcity belief.